principal is.
So we do have one other person. I don't think I'm the other person, so.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. I thought it was two.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, good evening. Thank you all for showing up to the meeting this evening. I just want to start off this meeting by thanking the EES staff for their dedication and hard work. I think that I speak on behalf of the entire committee when expressing gratitude for the long hours and going above and beyond for each student. As we share our gratitude, we invite the staff to share and reflect and do the same. We're all very lucky to work for the town of Erving. Some of the benefits to working at Erving Elementary School include extremely low class sizes. Some people have 6 students in their classes this year. Collaboration and professional development every Wednesday. Employer paid resources. Teachers never have to spend money out of their own pockets or for supplies. Exceptionally generous pay. We're one of the highest paid elementary schools in Franklin County. A free paid course every year. Generous health insurance plans. We only pay 16% of premiums across the town of Erving. The list goes on, but I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening. But it certainly is a wonderful place to work, and we have not had a classroom teacher leave the district other than retirements in over 10 years, to my knowledge. I'm hoping to continue this trend of being thankful, and Thanksgiving's just around the corner, and looking forward to looking at the positives as we emerge from this pandemic. So thank you all for showing up this evening. We're going to move into public hearings. We're going to hold it to 2 minutes per person if anybody would like to speak.
Okay. A fierce urgency. This is what I feel when I walk through Erving Elementary School and witness massive dysregulated behaviors, anxiety, anger, and a loss of identity. I'm watching my students face the world of 2022 post-COVID. I feel a fierce urgency when it comes to leveling the playing field so that all students have equal access to learning. My work as an educator is more important than it has ever been, and I'm talking about working with children who are deeply complex, who are impacted by variables that are outside of our control. We've been traumatized by the past 2 years, and children are bringing their broken sense of school and misinformed sense of humanity into this learning environment. It manifests as disruptive and distracting behaviors that take away from the job of educating. I fear that you have seriously underestimated the challenges of being a teacher. The role of a teacher has changed since I first began 20 years ago. I became a teacher to do exactly this, make a significant difference in the lives of children I teach, whatever it takes. For as long as I can remember, I have known that teaching is my calling. It breaks my heart to stand in front of you today justifying my professional worth. I paid out of pocket to become a highly qualified and educated teacher. I proudly wear the badge of a classroom teacher. And I'd like to believe that you are proud to be a part of this distinguished organization sitting in front of you tonight. Erving teachers deserve the security of a fair contract. Let me paint a picture for you. A day in the life of an Erving Elementary School teacher. There are approximately 6 hours of content teaching in which we prepare dynamic and engaging lessons consisting of varying activities that address the diverse needs of each of our students. We assess the way our students attend these lessons as well as the work they produce in meaningful ways. We communicate with families and collaborate with colleagues on a daily basis. We meet benchmarks and standards. We judge, shift, supplement, juggle, triage, all of it. I'm not done.
I apologize. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Take my 2 minutes.
Thank you.
So here you go. We bring our passion.
And I am just going to limit it to 5 people this evening. We have a lot to get going, and I just want to make sure with the snow coming that everyone gets home safely. So we'll do a total of 5 people for 2 minutes. Thank you.
We bring our passion, curiosity, expertise, and support to transform a post-COVID population of young developing minds. Erving Elementary's support for students has always been impressive. I learned early in my career, me as well, that the successful schools are those that function like a village, working harmoniously and symbiotically. 10 years ago, Erving Elementary was the epitome of a smooth-running organization. The administration, school committee, and town community truly valued the individual talents of Erving's devoted teachers. and that organically trickled down to the well-being and achievements of its students. The school committee was present and involved, holding monthly meetings that allotted a section of time to hear classroom updates from various teachers. Members were genuinely enthusiastic about our work and frequently visited classrooms during lessons of interest. I remember feeling honored to share a snippet of what was happening in my classroom, and there was a reciprocal sense of trust and appreciation. I have regard for this unique school and community, particularly because I have worked in schools with poor funding, overflowing class sizes, and minimal support. Our school is amazing because of the people who show up every day, and our students need us now more than ever. We go above and beyond without blinking an eye. Technically, our workday begins at 8:15, but you can be sure that many of us show up earlier. And technically, our workday ends at 3:30, but I assure you that most of us are here much, much later. And when we do finally walk out of the building, it is often with our plan books, laptops, and papers in tow. We go above and beyond the hours in front of students because that is what it takes to do the most important job in the world: educate the children of our future. Unit A teachers are working, next.
Unit A teachers have been working for the past 54 days without a contract. I wonder if some of you would perform with this level of dedication if you were on our side of the table. Negotiations began in the spring, and we are beyond disappointed that a respectable, reasonable, fair agreement has not yet happened. The Consumer Price Index increased 8.2% from August 21 to August 22. We are experiencing the largest 12-month increase since 1982, and it is not projected to go down anytime soon. Social Security received a 5.9% increase in 2022 and will receive an 8.7% increase in 2023. That's the cost of living increase net zero. The district's negotiating team has shared that for every 1% increase in teacher salary calculates to approximately $16,000 divided among 28 teachers. That figure is out of a $3.5 million budget. Your low and quite frankly perplexing offers are insulting. I have always believed that we are all here for the children, that every decision is centered around students. At this particular juncture, I am not confident that you are putting the students first, and I question your motives. It is naive to think that Erving teachers' work without a fair and worthy contract isn't impacting the overall morale and success of this school and our families.
Comments? Well, I would just like to address again, we thank you all for your dedication and hard work. There is absolutely no doubt in our minds that you all work extremely hard, and we are very happy with everything that you all do. Does anybody else like to add anything?
I just want to say one thing.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
We're going to let our members speak first. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
so I just wanted to say, clearly we can't discuss negotiations here, but I wanted you to know that I heard you. I heard what you said, and I've heard what you said. I just want you to know that.
Thank you very much. All right.
One
Okay,
question.
quick question, sure.
I'm a Kathleen Bridgewater, and I taught here for almost 30 years. And so I have a good sense of what has happened in the past and the kind of relationship that the school committee and the faculty and the students and the families have had, and the dedication of the staff for this community. I sit at home in my retirement, and I see what's happening to children all over the country. And it concerns me deeply in my heart when I think about the Erving students in particular, because these are the children that I feel especially attached to, even though these aren't the specific children. It's the community and the way these children go forward. I think assuring that they will go forward with the very best of education and helping and people who help them make up for the losses of the past 2.5 years that are critical losses. I mean, that part I'm watching. This is a really serious problem You need a harmonious working situation. Your real respect comes in the end in paying people fairly, in showing them you respect them through that thing which is called pay. And wonderful words are terrific. Being told you've got better than everybody else is not really a way of saying we respect you. It's saying you're being greedy. And that's how it sounds to me. And that's not what Erving has been about. It hasn't been a particularly, you could go to Amherst and easily get paid more, or Sunderland, or Northampton. The question here is this a community? I mean, it used to be a real community of people working together and respecting each other. So I just want to bring a little bit of history here, and I wish you the best.
Thank you for your words. All right, we are going to move forward to the approval for the minutes from September 20th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right. All second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting minutes pass. Excellent. All right, so we have warrants. So you already gave those over to Brittany. Excellent, fantastic. Great. All right, so we can skip down to the report of the Gilmani representative. Chief.
I have
Oh, I'm sorry.
grants.
Whoops, sorry.
That's okay.
I skipped over.
It's new, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
I thought that
bas-
was part of the warrants. Gotcha.
No. So based on policy DD, which asks for school committee approval for grants, I bring to you our title and IDEA grants. The first one I have to discuss this evening is our Title I grant, Fund Code 305. For FY23, we were awarded $30,542. We use that towards a portion of a teacher's salary. We use it for fringe benefits for Mass Teachers Retirement System. If we pay a teacher from a grant, we have to put aside fringe benefits. We also use it for supplies and materials and professional development. Title IIA, Fund Code 140, in the amount of $4,061. We use that grant for supplies and materials, professional development, and travel conferences. Title IV, Fund Code 309, is $10,000, and we use Title IV, which is to support staff around professional development for consultants and professional development. This year it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we also use it for supplies and materials. This year we're looking at curriculum, revision, and implementation. Those are all of our title grants, which are federal grants funneled through the state. The other two grants are special education, IDEA Fund Code 240, in the amount of $52,812. And we use that grant for supporting the salary of the Student Support Services Director and Coordinator, a small amount, $7,500. We pay half of a professional staff who's a student support services teacher. Along with that, of course, the fringe benefits for Mass Teachers Retirement, supplies and materials, and professional development, travel, and conferences. And the last grant is Early Childhood IDEA Fund Code 262 in the amount of $1,582, and we use that to support our special education early childhood classrooms with supplies and materials and contractual services. So I will need a vote to accept those grants, the title grants and the special education grants.
I'll make a motion to accept all of the grants.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now moving on to the report of the Gilmani representative.
Jen, what about the gifts?
Was that part of it? Or were there any
Oh,
gifts this
it's-
time or no?
No, it's warrants, gifts, and grants is one heading. So Caitlin shared the grants. I don't know if there are any gifts. Those usually come to the school. My portion is grants.
So were there any gifts? Yep. So there weren't any gifts this time?
No.
Correct. I don't see Caroline in this. So we'll have to get in contact with her so that we can get a report from Gil Montague.
Okay, so we have one representative?
Yeah, we have one representative and we have 2 openings.
Okay.
So be sure, spread the word. I can put it back out into the around town as well.
Thought I saw it
So
there,
that we can get some more representatives. And CES report? So Dave, you had said there was a conflict?
Yeah, and that's why we're doing the reorganization, so,
Okay.
yeah, so I wasn't able to with schedule conflict.
Okay. And Mackenzie, you've been on that before, right? So do you know the contact for
Yep.
Dan Hayes? Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, the regionalization update.
So we've met once, and during that meeting, they have compiled a presentation and created it into a video that they're sharing at open meetings for the towns that are interested in possibly bringing together. So actually, there was one last night at Gil Montague's meeting, and then there's another one coming up, I think, at the end of the month for Pioneer. So they did share the link. I can probably share that with all of you just to look at. But I think, they were raising some questions around where Erving wants to sit, and some of my questions were, well, if we wanted to vote or be a voting member of this, then what would that look like? And essentially, it would mean that Erving would have to then be a part of their district, which I'm not sure that's the direction that we're hoping for. So I think that's something as they're getting closer to really, right now they're just getting a feel for all of the towns to see if it makes sense. It still feels like this is many years out in the making, but they're putting together this information to share with everyone, get input, see what people's thoughts are. Is it feasible? Does it make sense? And then I think as it gets closer to decision making and maybe looking at finances and stuff, when they start really sharing that information, we would then have to decide, if Gil Montague was to leave their current situation and join with Pioneer, where does Erving want to stand with that? So does Erving still just want to be, allowing the children to school choice there and not being voting members, or is that even a bigger option of being part of the district and becoming a voting member? So that's kind of where we're at. Nothing has really been decided or nothing has changed, but they're trying to get more information out there for everyone. So I will share this link with you and you can kind of reach out. But they're meeting again tonight to kind of go over how it went last night and then just share any updates. So I will have more updates next meeting.
Would you mind sharing the link with me too, Caitlin?
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, when you said school choicing, we would tuition to
Like,
them?
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanted to.
Nope,
make sure that
totally.
we're okay.
Yeah, so tuitioning in as that choice. And they seem to think too that the contract that we currently have would then be null and void because they're changing everything as well. So I mean, needless to say, at the end of the day, if they were to make choices, we would also have to make choices, and I think that's when that conversation would.
So even
take
if we
place.
kept the tuition agreement, we would have to
Yeah, because they would need
Craft
a
a new
whole new,
agreement.
like, school committee, they would need, you know what I mean? They have to rebuild everything up, so.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Capital Planning Committee update. I guess that would be me. So we got a tilt skillet. We just need to have that installed. So we're working on getting the plumber and gas fitter to go ahead and install those. We also have a walk-in refrigerator. That's hopefully going to be in by the end of the year. And that's all I have right now for the 2 big projects right now.
It'll be delivered and stored.
Yes, delivered and stored.
In the pod, when you put in pods outside, and they'll be installed in the summertime, is not to disrupt the flow in the kitchen during your vacation.
Mhm.
That was a request of Donna and I, so we're very thankful to have that stress relief daily.
Yes, you have a question, Mark?
Is there any, are you folks looking into the heating and cooling system here?
Yes, that is on the agenda, or on the docket, the next thing to be looking at. So yes, thank you for bringing that up as well.
I got a question for the teachers.
Yeah.
What's the issues with the air conditioning and heat?
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Depends on,
So you're cold or you're hot?
depends on where you are in the building.
Okay.
My office has never been cold, and then in the summertime, it's not. It's
Okay.
sweltering hot. So it just depends. Mark's room is similar to mine. Then you can go into the art room and it's freezing,
Okay.
or the computer lab. Then you need to wear a coat in July.
And I do believe our Director of Finance and Operations wrote an HVAC grant.
During my report, though, so
But that's all I'm going to say right now.
More to go.
I won't steal her thunder.
All right, yeah, that's all I
It's been a
have.
long time coming. It's been here 8 years and it hasn't worked since I've been here. I'm sure it predates that. Worked correctly.
Efficiently is the word, Mark. Because sometimes we're running oil to keep it cool and hot, and, just it doesn't work efficiently.
All right, superintendent's report.
Yes, I have 3 items this morning. I'm already thinking about tomorrow morning. I have 3 items this evening. The first is a grants update. We've been talking at the joint supervisory level around efficiencies for Union 28, operational efficiencies. We applied for a grant last year, it wasn't granted. This year we applied for a community compact best practices grant. However, schools are not eligible to apply, but member towns are, and Shutesbury applied as our benefactor, and we just received word last week that we were awarded $32,000 from the Community Compact Best Practices Grant. That money will be spent through the Collins Center, and they will perform an operational efficiency study for Union 28, and they will be looking in all areas to find where we can be more efficient given our governance structure, and then we'll present those recommendations.
What is the ultimate goal here? Being more efficient in the sense of budgetary ways, in personnel, in what is the
Yes,
goal?
Yes, all of those. I have the proposal that I crafted. I can share that. I believe we shared it with joint supervisory members, and we'll be resending it out, but we're looking at all things. Technology, anything that falls under operations, personnel, budgeting, all aspects of our current governance structure as it exists as a superintendency union.
And what's the timeline for that?
Once the grant is notarized, sent in, and received by the Commonwealth, they have 40 days to execute it, and we have 2 years to use the grant money to fund the study.
I meant the study. What is the timeline on the study?
We have up to 2 years to have the study completed. Again, I don't have the study in front of me. I can share that with you, but they do have a timeline in 3 or 4 phases. So we can use the money and fund the study for up to 2 years. And they don't have a timeline spelled out other than phases.
Collins Center, you mean?
The Collins Center.
Doesn't have timelines other than phases?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. I have 2 monthly updates since we did not meet in October. Thank you to all of the school secretaries and Gail DeBriel for completing our SIMS reporting. This is student-level data that allows the department to collect and analyze information around state and federal reporting requirements, and also helps inform our foundation enrollment, which connects directly to our Chapter 70 aid. So thank you to all of those people who do all of the work. We have done CPI, crisis prevention, de-escalation, and blue card training. We have a staff member from Shutesbury, Nicole Sutka, who's our certified trainer for the district, so we really appreciate her work. We have had lockdown drills, and we will be working with Sheriff Carmichael from the Franklin County Sheriff's Department in conjunction with our local first responders to continue drills, reunification, as well as visitor training for secretaries and custodians. The Student Support Services Department, which is Karina Wislow and myself, are conducting feedback from stakeholders around student support services. We've been asking family members, staff members, and administration what's working well in student support, where can we improve, and so we'll be gathering that data and looking at it this winter. We had our MCAS results. We do see that students meeting or exceeding expectations in math is slightly up in grades 3 through 8 and down slightly in grade 10. However, across the board, English language arts scores have declined across the Commonwealth. They're down 5% state average-wise in grades 3 through 8. To note, the Operational Services Division, which is the division that looks at out-of-district Chapter 766 private schools, could increase their tuition by 14%, so that is looming out there on the horizon. That increase will be absorbed by school districts who place students in out-of-district Chapter 766 schools. We've had budget meetings at Union 28, Budget and Personnel, 2 meetings, Joint Supervisory, 2 meetings. We're getting busy at the leadership level to conduct some learning walks at all of our schools. And lastly, we will be attending some of the leadership, a legal issues seminar presented by Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane on special education and 504s. So my last part of the report is a brief report on foundation enrollment. And Tom gave me a lesson today, so I'm hoping that I remember exactly what he said. Thank you, Tom. So foundation enrollment comes directly from our SIMS data work. It informs the foundation budget at the state, which then informs our Chapter 78. Foundation enrollment, in its essence, is a count of the number of pupils for whom we are financially responsible on October 1st of any given year. It's primarily composed of local resident school children who are attending their community's local or regional school district. It also includes students for whom the district is paying tuition to, such as a charter school that belongs to the Commonwealth, other school districts, or special education schools. And DESE computes the foundation enrollment using specific data submitted by each district. When we look at foundation enrollment, it is lagged by 1 year. So our foundation enrollment numbers are always behind 1 year. The head counts are applied to cost rates to arrive at the upcoming year's budget. And that amount, the foundation budget, represents the minimum amount we must spend in our operating budget in order to provide an adequate education. So when we look at financial responsibility, approximately 94% of publicly funded school children are enrolled in the district directly connected to their community, and approximately 6% attend in other settings, and that could be a private special education school, another public school with an appropriate setting, a charter school, or through school choice. All of those other settings require tuition. When we're looking at computing the enrollment, the foundation budget assigns specific cost rates to different programmatic and grade level categories, and every pupil we count must be assigned to one of the categories. The categories include regular education and special education pre-K, regular or special education half-day kindergarten, full-day kindergarten, elementary, which is considered grades 1 through 5, middle grades 6 through 8. High school, regular or special education, grades 9 through 12. And then it looks at limited English, pre-K, half-day K, and grades 1 through 12, limited English, as well as vocational education and post-secondary and post-grad vocational. The final step of the calculation in order to determine this number is looking at our pre-kindergarten students and half-day kindergarten in those districts that have them, being divided by 2 to get their full-time equivalency. When we look at who is a resident, they are students who live in our district. In the eastern part of the states, those are students who attend through the METCO program. Non-resident children of teachers working in the district count as resident pupils. Pupils who attend Horace Mann charter schools, foreign exchange students, and special education pupils who are tuitioned to private schools, special education schools, and state institutions. Those are all considered our resident students. Residents in other districts include Commonwealth charter schools, school choice students, Chapter 74 non-resident tuition program, which would be students at the vocational level who are going to a vocational school outside of their catchment area because the programming doesn't exist in theirs, and school committee tuitioning agreements to other districts. When we determine what our foundation budget is, the head count is multiplied by a cost rate. This cost rate is set by statute and reflects annual inflation. We also look at special education and low-income students because they require additional resources. So in computing those costs, any student who we educate in district, their cost is set at 0.37 times our foundation enrollment and 0.475 times vocational enrollment. Any students who are out of district who are special education, their rate is set at 1% of the total foundation enrollment. When we look at low income status, which we report based on free and reduced lunch, those head counts are assigned to the district where those pupils are actually enrolled, which is different than special education who are out of district. If you are interested further in looking at what our foundation enrollment is, what the foundation budget is like, our Chapter 70 funding or our net school spending requirements are, you can go to the department's school finance website. So that's just a brief overview of why the secretaries are doing the Sims count every year to look at our student count in order that we get funding. So if anyone has any questions or comments.
Looks like we have one question in the audience.
Yes, I'd like to know at what date do the Sims counts happen?
By October 1st.
So it's
Correct.
October 1st.
Mhm.
So the school that has the child in it on October 1st gets the money for the entire year. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if a charter school, for example, sends a special ed child back into the district after January, let's say, they say, oh, your home district can do a better job than we can do for your child. Then that child comes back to, let's say, Erving or School X.
Mm-hmm.
There's no foundation money that goes to the home school when that child returns for that rest of the year. And when that child is in the classroom for the rest of the year, let's say in Erving.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And is that something that has happened?
I don't have those facts in front of me. It certainly can.
I'm saying
Students
yes.
can come.
I know for a fact that used to happen, so it was like the child would go away and then come back, and then the school district would not be reimbursed properly for that child's education.
And that's why there are lots of people out there looking at our Chapter 70 funding and how it occurs and advocating at the legislative level.
Didn't you say then that they're looking at the previous years?
It's lagged by 1 year. Yep.
Okay, so if they come back, it's still not gonna make it. Right.
It's 1 year before.
So that's lost money, let's say 6 months of lost money for the district.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a quick question around something you mentioned. So with the Student Support Services Survey, I believe this is only being handed as a paper copy, is that correct?
No, it's
Okay.
electronic as well, and so if you haven't received one, please reach out to
Okay,
Director
perfect, because
Wisdom.
I got a paper copy and that's not ideal because it's a Google form that's printed out, so you can't really
Absolutely. We
share information on it, so I just wanted to throw that out there if
The
it wasn't
reason we
being.
have paper is some of our member towns don't have access to broadband internet.
Okay.
We wanted to make it fully accessible, so please reach out to Karina.
Okay, perfect.
She'll make sure you get the electronic version.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We want all the feedback we can get.
We've actually been getting paper copies in the office.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they're coming back. They're just not ideal, like, to write on, and
We
my
want to make
handwriting
it
is
work
awful.
for
so-
parents, so we'll take care of that.
Mackenzie, did you have a quick question? Do you want to swing back to a different agenda item?
I do, and I also want to ask a question on this, this item. So which would you like me,
Go ahead, do this item now.
this item?
Yep.
So you mentioned the free and reduced lunch is a way that you gather information about their low income eligibility. But we are a free lunch program, so the parents don't necessarily fill out that form. So what is your way of getting those parents to?
Well, it's not my way, right? This is the state's
Well, you,
reporting.
I mean you in the sense of the people who
Right.
are gathering this information. It's not me. I'm not doing the work. Somebody else is doing the work. So how are
Our lovely
they?
secretaries in Nurse Gail. I can get you the exact data relative to that count. I do know that we do have to direct certify and certify all of the children in our schools.
So so let me re-ask the question. How are you gaining the information about what their income is if they're not having to fill out the form to get free and reduced lunch?
Would you like to work with that, Caitlin? Thank you so much.
So our food service director does still have, they are still doing it. We do have a rate, we are a CEP school, so that is being tracked. And the state is also looking at other ways to track low-income students. More recently, the last couple of years, I can't tell you exactly what those ways are, but I can get that.
I think they do look at, are they receiving transitional assistance, SNAP, and other outside support services?
Great, thank you. And the item that you'd like to swing back to?
Yeah, I did. I actually did want to go back to the grants update. So 32,000 grant. You're planning on using that for this study. Is that going to be all encompassing, that 32,000?
Yes,
Or
it
will there
is.
be other monies needed?
All encompassing.
And so your hope is that within the 2 years to have this study done?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Collins Center has done work in our district. They've worked with the towns of Leverett and Wendell to regionalize and create operational efficiencies within the police force. So there is some experience in our district in working with the Collins Center. Very positive feedback.
Great, thank you. Director, Finance and Operations report, please.
I'll start with the most boring part, end of year reports. So we are gonna need
You have
a vote tonight on whether to sign the certification statement of the end of year report that I sent out last week. I'm not gonna go through the entire report with you because it is massive, but I'll tell you some of the components of it are the expenditures that come from the school committee's oversight, expenditures that come from the town, and from grants, and also the budgets for next year and what those expenditures will be. The two things that are important to the report, though, are the Title I maintenance of effort and the IDEA maintenance of effort. So maintenance of effort is a term we use to say that we are spending as much on special education this year than we did in the last year. So if we spent $1,473,546 in FY21 to meet maintenance of effort for IDEA, we have to spend more than that, which we were able to do. We spent $1,501,497, so it was 101.9%, so we made maintenance of effort for IDEA. We also made it for Title I. So those are both positive things, because if you don't make maintenance of effort, you have to prove why. There are exceptions, but you're not eligible for those grants if you're unable to continue to spend the amounts in special education that you were in previous years. If you have other questions on the report that I sent out, I can try to answer them now, but if not, then we can move on to a vote.
Anyone have any questions on that?
I don't know.
Questions?
Okay, so the Union 28 budget was, we had a joint supervisory committee meeting last night where the budget was reviewed. We did not vote on it yet, but I can tell you that one of the important parts for this committee is their Erving allocation. the student enrollment, and this isn't exactly how many students are in the school, there's a calculation based on what preschool kids are counted as, what secondary kids are counted as, but that enrollment went from 125.5 to 120.7, so there was a slight decrease in enrollment. With the vote and the exception of
We changed the bylaw.
we changed the bylaws, thank you, so that it's no longer just what it was this past year. It's actually going to be a 2-year average and then a 3-year average and getting up to a 5-year rolling average of those allocations. So the amounts going for the portion that Erving will have of the Union 28 budget from 25.43 to a flat 25.0%. So those amounts will go down a little bit. The Erving budget is in process, but as we know, most of the budget is based on personnel, and so that one probably will be after Leverett and Shutesbury and maybe after Sale of Wendell, but it'll be all set to go when we have a better idea of that. The HVAC grant, so we had a full day consultation with Nexus Consulting. They came in, looked at they were on the roof, they were all over looking at the HVAC system and gave us some preliminary details of what improvements can be made. We were eligible as a CEP school to apply for a $100,000 DESI Improving Ventilation Air Quality in Public School Building grant. So we're waiting to hear that if we will receive that grant. And that grant will look specifically at doing a needs assessment, study of existing school environments, feasibility study, indoor air quality, implementation of air quality plans, and professional development for facilities directors. This will also increase our efficiency of our HVAC system. And finally, I got to go to the Massachusetts Association of School Business Officials 2-day special education conference a couple weeks ago. That was really valuable, especially for schools that are starting to, that have or receiving circuit breaker money, that are thinking about doing special education stabilization funds and how those work and how they have to go through the town, and other ways of including the community in things like our supportive classrooms. So it was 2 days. MASBO, as it's called, is really good with professional development, but jam-packed, so it was exhausting, but it was a really good opportunity. And you have the expenditure report. Some of the numbers are still, some of the personnel are still out of place because we still have to go through and make sure that some of the paras are in the right lines and teachers in the right lines, but once that's done, some of those over expenditures will all even out.
And it's also the time where we're putting grants towards personnel.
Yeah.
They have been written into the grant.
That are negative, that's the
Yes.
reasoning for those lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Yes.
So that grant, would that go to actually fixing it or just studying what we need to do?
Studying and fixing. And
Okay.
so the studying part will be $2,200, the feasibility study, $4,800, and the implementation of air quality improvement is $91,540.
So that's the fixing part?
That's the
Yes.
fixing part.
Okay,
And
good.
I think a couple are units on the roof.
I'm with you, Mark.
Yeah.
Did you say we received that grant or you applied for
We
that?
applied
grant?
for it. We
And
were
when did you find
eligible
out?
for it as a CEP school, and so then we were able to apply for it, and now we received it.
Is it a competitive grant or a
Entitlement.
entitlement, thank you, entitlement grant?
I don't believe I'd have to look.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when will you know? When will you hear?
I can look into it tomorrow.
Okay.
So if we do get that money, make sure you tell the engineers what's going on.
That's the study part.
Study part, tell them.
We have the study and the fix, that's the study part.
And who will be doing the work?
That, because it is a $100,000 grant, we'll have to go through the whole
Bidding process? Okay.
Very policy discussion.
Excellent. Any other questions for Director of Finance and Operations? Thank you.
And thank you, Caitlin, for all your hard work in writing that. So
Thank you.
appreciated.
Absolutely. All right, principals report.
I decided that I was going to do our reporting a little differently. And it's nice to have so many teachers here. Wow, I've never had such an audience. So I want to talk about the great, fun, traditional things that we do at school, which is such a part of Erving. But the other part that I really started to focus on in September and will continue when we meet bi-monthly is teaching and learning. And what is that looking like for all of our kids? So to talk about the two busy months we've had during October, we had our first lockdown drill. Our 6th grade students went on a field trip to Morris Hill. We had fire safety presentations in person. It was really fun to bring the firefighters back into the building. And pre-K even took a walking field trip down to the fire station. We've had an all-school sing. And for the first time ever, the Erving band had an opportunity to go to UMass for a multi-band performance. Next year I'm going because I've heard it was absolutely nothing but fantastic. The kids came back with tons of UMass swag and hats, and the staff that got to go said it was wonderful. We had some feedback from parents as well. So that's a thank you to our sister schools in Union 28 for bringing that to my attention. So we are now on the mailing list, and we'll go back to that again. November, it's only been a couple of weeks, but we had a CPR staff training last week for the staff that self-selected to do that. We had a moving in-person, we brought our Veterans Day celebration back again, and thanks to Jennifer Smith, who always knocks it out of the ballpark. We had a full gym and lots of veterans, over 40 veterans, and community members coming and sharing in that event. That was really special. This week is conferences, and they're in person. Some are remote at parent request, but that's what's happening this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And our 1st and 2nd graders, next Tuesday, will be going back to the tradition of Monty's March and raising funds. And I've been in the classrooms where the 2nd graders and 1st graders are learning about food insecurity and how we can help support our community members. And they'll be doing some work with the Amherst Survival Center. So I'm excited because I get to become part of that march again this year, and we'll be joining the 1st and 2nd graders next Tuesday. We'll be starting down at UMass and jumping in from there. So that was a highlight my first year. So I'm looking forward to it. So those are some of the fun things, the traditions that have happened. I want to talk a little bit closer about what teaching and learning looks like. As you all know, we are still struggling post-pandemic. Or are we still pandemic? We've got 8 staff members with COVID right now. So are we still in it? Who knows? But our kids are certainly trying their hardest. But it is a struggle for many of them daily. I am so fortunate, not just we, collectively, all of us in this room in the school, to have 2 full-time adjustment counselor this year, which is, we got so lucky hiring Mrs. Jillian Buck and our school psychologist, Ms. Jordan Miller, and their plates are full. Their plates are overflowing. Jill currently does lunch groups. She does in-classroom social emotional learning lessons. She does social skills groups. She has 14 students that she is currently seeing. 6 of them are just new referrals in the first 11 weeks of school. And then 8 of the students she's seeing have ed plans, either 504s or IEPs, that mandate that they see the adjustment counselor or the school psychologist. So I think it's really important to hear that in 11 weeks only, she's seeing 6 new referrals. And those, we have a whole new referral process in school because teachers and parents want support for their children in the school in a variety of ways. There's a variety of needs. So we have a referral form that we have, or these 2 women would be running all day long. So we have a process. Teachers are filling out referral forms. They're coming to me, we're meeting, and then we're looking to see, is this a school need or is this a need outside of school with wraparound services? When I look at Jordan Miller, our school psychologist caseload, she not only does assessing for IEPs, assessing for 504s, she currently has 7 new referrals in the first 11 weeks of school, and she has 4 students that she sees for IEPs. We have currently, right now, 5 new referrals for 1st grade students. We currently have 4 new referrals from staff or parents for 2nd grade students. Our 3rd grade students, we have 2 parent referrals. And in 6th grade, we have 1 parent referral. So there's quite a bit on the team of our psychologists and school adjustment counselors. So we're really fortunate to have 2 dynamic staff members who have picked up the ball and feels like they've been here forever. In the beginning in September, I talked about our assessing that was going to go on with our literacy team and our mathematics team. Our math team had a new forefront assessment for grades 3 through 6, as well as doing Kathy Richardson, which they've done previously. And then for our literacy team, they did assessments school-wide, K through 6, Dibbles 8, BAS data, and the past assessment as well. And currently, right now, looking at our data from the beginning of the school year, this data we'll be assessing again come January. We have 29 students out of 105 who are below grade level at this time. So that is concerning to me. But I know that with the Tier 1 instruction going on in the classroom and the Tier 2 interventions and the Tier 3 interventions, I'm really feeling optimistic that we will do our best to meet these kids at where they are and to give them the support that they need. In mathematics, we currently have 25 out of 105 students receiving intervention, and that's grades K through 6. So again, the numbers are pretty closely aligned. And had I put some more thought into it, and I can certainly do this for our January meeting, I don't believe I'll have all updated data, although I could ask Melissa and Wendy, but I won't put you on the spot, what our testing timeframe looks like. But I'd like to see, out of those 25 and 22, which kids are receiving both intervention. And really looking, is it just mathematics, or is it just literacy, or is it both? So currently right now, in our kindergarten class, we have 4 out of 12 students receiving a reading intervention. In first grade, we have 9 out of 19 students receiving intervention. In second grade, it's 6 out of 16. In third grade, it's 2 out of 17 students. Fourth and fifth grade right now are grades where there are not Tier 2 or Tier 3 support interventions going on based on the needs of the students, which is a high point. So we're looking at that as a real positive for fourth and fifth grade in the area of reading. And in sixth grade, we have 1 out of 13 students receiving tiered support. When we look at mathematics in kindergarten, we have 1 out of 12 students. In first grade, it's 6 out of 19. In second grade, it's 8 out of 16. In third grade, it's 4 out of 17. Fourth grade, it's 3 out of 15 students. Fifth grade, it's 1 out of 13 students. And sixth grade, it's 2 out of 13 students. So really the goal, right, is by June, our numbers are going to decrease. But there's a lot of factors that are going to play into that happening, and that is really our kiddos coming to school with the capacity to be learners. I just had another call from DCF today, another family. I'm like, what do you mean another family? I had no idea. So I have never dealt with more families, and I shared this at the end of the school last year, the report that I gave to the school committee meeting in June. Never in my years of education have I had so many families and with parents and guardians and children with open cases for DCF. So it's very alarming to me, because this is a small little school. I came from a school where I had 400 students, so the number was very different. But when you're looking at the needs of the kids, and it's not just the needs of the children, it's the needs of the community. And we are all of us here, as well as the families and the community members outside of here, are still coming up for air from what the last few years have been. So I just wanted to share that data. Our current enrollment, pre-K through 6, is 129 students. We did have one family just last Thursday move out of the school, and there was 2 students. So that's dropped our numbers just a slight bit. So that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions for me.
I just have a reflection from that, and I don't need an answer back, but when you're listing a lot of the learning stuff, first grade is sticking out as needing a lot of supports, and I just want to say, the committee has brought those numbers up, I think, the end of last year, especially at our first meeting, and now with this information, knowing that they are the class that has the most referrals as far as adjustment counselors and psychologists. They're also the top number that's getting help for literacy, and the second that's for math. Just something to keep on the radar and keep us in the loop, because I think that class in particularly, if you look at the timeline, has truly been affected by COVID and by
They were our 3-year-olds
yeah.
when this started.
And
Way
last
back.
year, there were some things that happened, so that class, I think, something to think about is to really look at them and see how we can support them. And I know they are like the largest class, they're clearly getting the most support, and it's clearly needed, so.
And my wheels are always turning. Everyone lives in this moment of day to day. My brain's already thinking, okay, here's our data, here's this, here's next year. My brain's already there. And I've already had conversations with the superintendent as to thoughts, and sometimes just a brainstorming session. But I agree with you, and when we have years to come out of this. Because that first grade class with the 3-year-olds, when we shut school in March, and then the year after that, then they came back and it was just the 4-year-olds. And they were here for a very short program that Mary Glaybeck did a beautiful job running, but it was really giving them a chance to come in and be together. Remember, it was all forest. Everything was outside of the forest.
Yeah, it was until I think January.
Until it was
so.
just too cold to be out there. So it was really not what we would say is traditional preschool.
Yeah.
So it was an opportunity to come and be together with other 4-year-olds. And then when you look at that 2nd grade class, our current 2nd grade, they were the 4-year-olds when that started. So there's going to be a reeling effect from this for years to come. And I will definitely do a deeper dive to look at the kindergarten data and bring that forth to share that with all of you when we come together. And if anybody wants those numbers, I'm happy to share my doc with you.
Yeah, I wrote down to email you to get a
Sure,
copy of that.
I'll do it, Caitlin.
Perfect, thank you.
So we have lots of work ahead of us, and we're fortunate to have the support staff that we have. And we have, and it's not just falling on our math people and our reading people. It's our teachers, it's our skilled para-educators, and I'm leaning heavily on our special education liaisons and teachers, and they're seeing kids that don't even have an IEP, because it's really, we're looking at an all hands-on deck approach to support all of these kids. So I'll have more data hopefully to share with you, updated for January, and I'll bring the kindergarten.
I know Miss Maddie wanted to say something.
You don't have to call me Miss Maddie.
I still call Miss Bridgewater and Miss Maddie. So we're good.
No, as the first grade teacher at this time, I just want to say that I feel so deeply fortunate for these people because people are wrapping around our community in such a beautiful way. And I mean that all of our literacy teachers, other classroom teachers, Lisa has her feet on the floor in our room every single day, and she is there with us all the time. And I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you, because the good work is being done, whether children have been identified at this point or not. Everybody is getting an immense amount of support. So thank you very much.
I could add to that too. Thank you for talking about Jill and Jordan, our adjustment counselor and school psychologist. Besides their full caseloads, they're the go-to when students are dysregulated, in distress, shutting down students. The rest of the class has to be evacuated out of the room. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but we've had classrooms that had 8 days in a row that were evacuated out of the room while our 2 adjustment counselors and psychologists come to try, and others, not just them. I shouldn't, but that's the type of thing that's going on. Or you have a student that just shuts down. I've had different ones just outside my classroom and just unresponsive, crying, and then these other folks have to leave the students that they are supposed to be seeing. So we are super thankful that we have a full-time adjustment counselor and we have that happening. These are the types of things that I have never seen before and never dealt with. So
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing experience. Appreciate it.
A follow-up question, sorry, one more. Always full of them. Are we fully hired staff-wise? Are there still openings? What does that look like as of now? Because I know.
We still have postings up for para-educators. We certainly have room to replace 2 more. It's just finding people who actually really want to work with some school-based experience, right? So that's a really important piece because there have been applicants, but due to the severity and the needs of the children, I'm not just going to say, hey, you've worked, in retail, which is wonderful, but we were happy, we hit it out of the ballpark with our last hire, Michael Veer, who came to us from Greenfield, and from Center School in, no,
They were responsive.
okay, both of us, yeah, yes, thank you. So we were really lucky. So that was I saw that, he put on School Spring, and by that afternoon, I was like, Pat, get him in for an interview. And he was here the next day. And then I'm like, central office, can we expedite his paperwork? Like, how fast can we get him in? So when I see anybody with experience.
I did say yes right away, Tony.
No, Jen, we didn't. When I say someone with experience.
I said yes.
We're gonna bring them
But
in.
we have all the papers.
No, that's helpful. Just wasn't sure where we were at staff-wise.
We do just need to swing back up and vote on the end of your report. I forgot. Yeah. So do we have a motion to go ahead and sign the end of your report?
I'll make a motion to sign the end of your report, approve and sign.
I'll second.
Great. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Budget and Personnel Committee report.
And I'm sorry, can I ask a question of the principal? Can you speak about the pickup and drop-off procedure? I've been getting some feedback about it, and I'm curious from your perspective how that's going and what it looks like.
Sure. Every child is dismissed from the gym at dismissal time. Preschool gets dismissed first. They get dismissed down by the playground. Parents drive up, and the kids are brought right out to the car. Dismissal for the rest of the school, K through 6. Kids are in their classrooms. Pat calls whatever bus is first in line. Those kids come and line up, and then myself and whatever paras are out there to help us bring the kids out to the buses. Then the parents are in the cars, just like we've done the entire pandemic. And then Pat and thank goodness Jess Galvin know every car and every family, and then we start calling kids into their spot. So it could say Ryan to the number 1, Jessica to the number 2, and those cars pull up to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spot. Staff bring the kids out to the cars, they get in the cars and they go home. We're done every day by 3:20 to 3:25, so that's a pretty well-oiled machine. Drop off in the morning is buses come first, and they are lined up until it's time to receive the kids off of the buses. Myself, Pat, sorry, that's my son.
It's a $100 fine.
Some of you wonder where I am. Myself, Pat, and typically Becky Allen are out there, and all of the paraeducators welcoming the kids off the buses. 4, 5, and 6 go straight around this side. K1, 2, 3 go to the playground. Sometimes the kids go straight in, that's the teacher's choice. And then as soon as the buses pull out, we pull up the cars, and the kids get out of the cars, and they come into school. Preschool is about 8:50-ish, and it's back to dropping off in the front of the building. So the staff go out, they meet the kids at the curb, and they're bringing kids in, and they're coming right into here, hanging up their hooks on the stuff on the hooks right over there by class, and then they go home.
So why is it that the kids are going into the cafeteria before going out to the, not the cafeteria, the gym before going out to the buses?
At dismissal time?
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough staffing to have everybody outside.
You don't have enough staffing to have everybody outside. So why are they, so let me ask you this, why are they being called one bus at a time? So it used to be.
Because I don't have enough staffing, unit A staff is not required to help with duties.
So it used to be that kids, 3:15 came, and the kids walked down the hallway and went out to their buses and got on their buses. And so I understand COVID changed that a little bit, but why not go back to that way?
Great question, I don't know. If someone could complain to me, Mackenzie, then I can help them. So I need a parent to come to me and say, Lisa, I need help with this because I'm sitting here for 25 minutes. Them going to you isn't going to help me make the solution any better.
I didn't say anybody was coming to me saying that they were sitting for 25 minutes.
No,
I was asking you just to
people
explain
are
to
coming
me
to
the
you
procedure.
not happy with the procedure. So if they can come to me, chain of command is principal, superintendent, school committee. Then I'd be happy to talk and hear, because then I can say, oh, you're unhappy. I can't fix something unless I know what they're unhappy about.
Okay, so let's be clear, I didn't say that there was a problem, I asked for what the procedure was, and then I said I was getting feedback. I didn't say whether it was positive or negative. I'm asking, why are the kids not being dismissed the way that they used to be?
And I don't have an answer for that today. Because this is just how we've done it, and it's been successful, and I wouldn't break something that's not broken to me.
Okay, so everybody feels that that's a successful way to dismiss and...
I think the people that are involved with dismissal do. I can't speak for anybody who's not involved with dismissal.
But you haven't gotten any feedback
From
one way or
parents,
the
yeah.
other from parents, and I haven't gotten any feedback one way or the other from parents.
And staff feels that way too? You've polled staff and they feel comfortable and feel that it's successful?
No, but you're welcome to poll them.
I certainly can, I'm asking if you have.
No, because Unit A staff aren't involved with dismissal.
I didn't say Unit A staff, I asked if staff was polled to see if it was successful, if they felt that it was
No, they have not
successful.
been. They have not been polled.
They have not been polled. Any feedback at all, whether it be a poll or otherwise?
I've heard nothing from staff, I've heard nothing from community members, not a word.
Okay. Okay.
Nor have I.
I'd love to have feedback and then I can make things better.
Okay. Well, my feedback is that I think the old way worked well, and it sounds like this way may not be working so well if people are reaching out, questioning it. So I'm wondering if you could ask the staff if they think it's working well, and then maybe ask the parents if they think it's working well, if there's any problems. I don't know that we need to do that right at this moment.
I'm just joking, right? I mean,
I
would
don't
add
also
that to
think
my
all of
list,
the staff
Mackenzie,
is
and I
here,
would-
but I think it's worthwhile investigating just to see if this procedure is working well or not. If it's working well, that's great. If parents feel it's working well, that's great. I'm just curious whether that's the case or not. So maybe by our next meeting, if
I'll
you
get
could
to it
give
in the year.
that answer, that'd be great.
So we can chat about that, Lisa.
Absolutely. We'll put it in a newsletter.
And I would just like to request that we put that on the agenda, just so that it stays forefront in our minds.
Yep. All right. So 28 committee report.
Do you want to share?
Nothing to talk about.
Okay,
We had a couple of
He doesn't
meetings,
look like
we're
he
still
wants to.
working on the budget.
Yeah, we had 2 budget and personnel, two joint supervisory, and we're still working on the budget. Caitlin's going to do some draft budgets at the local level and embed the information we have currently for Union 28 in it, even though it hasn't been voted on, so that all of the local school committees get a perspective of the entire budget.
Yeah, we're just waiting for more information.
Great.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, have a good evening.
No, no, just the book stuff.
Okay. Okay. All right. The Gil Montague agreement discussion. So kind of popping back to that.
Is that why I'm looking at it?
The hubbub.
The hubbub dies down. Yeah, we can have a conversation.
That's when my stepfather was chairman.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, what the hell is Jackson? Then I look at the old print. Or is it?
Okay, so moving on to the Gil Montague agreement discussion, after Caitlin kind of brought that up as about the regionalization, I mean, we can still further discuss it, but really, I mean, if we do end up moving forward with this regionalization, it seems like that contract is null and void. So I don't know what more discussion we possibly could or would have about it, but I'm happy to bring it to the table again.
Realistically, how long, if we, putting aside the idea of the regionalization, how long would it be to even create a new agreement with Gil Montague versus how long will it take? I'll tell you, the regionalization has been going on for at least 10 years, because way back when I was on school committee many years ago, we were talking about it. So that may be a very long conversation, but so may this. So is there any indication as to?
I think I said it had to be like 5 years.
The way it reads is very weird, but apparently I think we have to give them 5 years to say that we want to get out of the contract. So, I mean.
There's 5 years as it is. So
Right.
I don't know if it necessarily, again,
Right,
we
if
can
the
have more
contract's not
discussions
null and
about
void
it.
Yeah,
anyways.
if it's worth the effort.
Definitely worth the effort. But again,
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of bring it up as far as we were just discussing it with the regionalization committee, so I figured it was worth having a discussion at this level. But I didn't know what others thought.
Yeah, and I mean, the idea of a vote, like being worth to have a vote to join that doesn't seem like that would be worth it to me. And I think that would cause more issues because then we'd be leaving the union and we'd have to get a new, join a district. And so I think
we can, I think, and it depends on what Erving would want to do,
There are things like what Swift River does, which is its own entity in elementary school, but belongs to Mahar from grade 7 to 12. Same with Leverett and Shutesbury are their own entities in elementary school, but then belong to Amherst Regional.
Okay.
So that might be another option that Erving Elementary.
And is that still like the tuition, like you're paying tuition for your kids?
No, they are part of the region as soon as they become 7th graders.
Okay.
That's something different.
Yes.
So, but again, we'd have to give 5 years to get out of this and then start the works on something else. I wonder if we could transform this into.
And that's something you could ask at the regional, and I can share with you if you want the Amherst Regional Agreement, just to see an overview of what that looks like. And the Mahar one. But they are
just like to see the wording on that.
They're your students until the terminal grade, which is 6 here.
Okay, so with their budget then, like we have a secondary budget right now. So do they not have a secondary budget?
The only budget I have secondary is for Erving.
Okay.
They then become, the towns still pay into the budget, but as a school district, we're not involved in it.
Okay.
We're neither fiscally nor
programmatically responsible at our level.
Okay.
Which is unlike.
Yeah, that is
Your
interesting.
runs at the high, 7th grade class.
Right.
So it's the same regional school district.
Okay. Yeah, if you have that, want to share that?
That would be interesting.
But they still have to go through their regionalization, and they still have to agree that that's something that they want to entertain. So it's very,
Right, exactly.
It's very
Still.
if.
Yeah, it's not an either or. There's that.
Right, they just were not clear on how that would work or what it would look like, and it made it seem like if you wanted to be a voting member, then you would then have to be part of the district, which I guess in that way you would be. I just didn't know that
But this
was
will
another
give
option.
you, and maybe the other district who hasn't had experience with that, maybe some perspective.
Yeah.
I made a note for
Okay.
Pam and I to scan and send.
Perfect, thank you.
The question is still to do all the work in hopes of in 5 years changing, or wait and see how quickly they move with regionalization and then hedge your bet that we're gonna do something new anyways.
I mean, I don't know that I guess I don't have enough knowledge around it to say that we're unhappy or would want to look at a different option. I just think that the conversation of regionalization and seeming like, not that it's going to be anytime soon, but it probably would be within the next 5 years that they're really trying to make that movement, especially with their class sizes being, 30 kids or less. They're really trying to look at like financially would that make sense. I know busing is like this huge concern because cost of transportation and is it going to save and, which class would go to which facility and, there's a lot of stuff, but I think they're really with this video that they're sharing and going to town meetings and trying to get input, they're really seeking that out. I know there was something, I think like somewhere in the Berkshires was doing something similar, but they had grant money attached to it with a deadline, so they have been moving a little faster than this one. But it'll be interesting to kind of see.
I guess my only frustration with it is that Erving doesn't have a vote. Like, we don't really have a say.
Right.
We just have to go with the flow at this point.
And I don't think we can get a say until they do something. Yeah, at this point,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or we'd have to change the agreement.
Right, we could
Well,
get
that's
a
what
say.
We could have a say.
That's what I'm saying, but it would either be out of 5 years or when
Right.
they do it. So it's not like currently or anytime soon in the near future, we would have a say. So, I mean, if anyone ever has any feedback or wants me to share anything or questions, definitely let me know and bring that up. I think their focus right now is really just getting this presentation out and sharing it to towns, because now they're really wanting to get the financial offices involved to see if the towns would even be interested in kind of going along with it, because they haven't got them involved yet, so we'll see.
Tackled that issue.
We want to keep that on the agenda?
Yeah, we can just,
I would, yeah.
Yep.
And if we have that new, agreements, that'd be great. To kind of keep tackling. All right, new business, family handbook, review and vote. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the family handbook?
I just had, do we have a PT? There wasn't a name listed on here, do you know? I had some stuff for Lisa.
We
that she
contract
left.
with CAPS Collaborative for physical therapy services.
Okay.
currently.
And then my other question, and I don't know.
We'll do our best,
Okay.
and then if not, we'll make sure we get the information.
I just know that this year we changed a couple of things with preschool. We upped the payment.
Yep.
And we implemented a payment like requirement date for the month before. And so I was just trying to look for an update on like how that's going, any feedback from parents, if it's a struggle, are you running into a lot of issues, is it more work for Julie who's doing payments, like just kind of any feedback on how that's going and if that's something that needs
So
to be
let's put that on the next
looked
agenda.
at. Okay.
Pre-K tuition payment program update.
It would just be nice because I know it was a big change and it either could be going really well or.
Yeah, that's a good idea to get the feedback. So I have that for next agenda, and so does Jen, so between the Jens, we'll remember, right?
Perfect. And then I think the only other thing that I was noticing just, there was spots, like if it says PTO, and I didn't know if you wanted to update it to PI, but
Should be.
yeah, so I found at least one, but there might be another one in here, just, updating that.
I'll make a note on the handbook, and if you see, you'll see Lisa too. Yep, we'll put, I'll just say PTA to PI.
I had a quick question too. I know recently at our school, there was changes in the laws regarding suspensions and whatnot. So I don't know if there's anything that needs to be changed in here, but this is like a pretty recent.
Yeah, we just had a training on that with
Okay,
our
I just wanted to
attorney
make sure.
around
Make sure that's up to
37
date.
8 3/4, which
Okay.
is the suspension law.
Okay. Just want to make sure it's up
we
to
will
date,
make
because
sure.
we had one like a week or two ago about it.
Yeah,
just.
Yeah, so 37H and H1/2 have not changed, but it is the 37H and 3/4.
Okay.
And then the other like small thing, and I can't find where it was, it's saying that we still offer salad and a sandwich as alternatives for lunch. But I think it's just like one on one week and one, yeah, we're not offering multiple,
I
so.
believe the last time I looked at the menu, that was the case, but we can check on that too.
That it's one?
That is one.
Yeah, I know that the salad bar has been a hot topic around here for years, so. It's salad sometimes and then it's a sandwich sometimes, right? Yeah, it's not both, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Just figured if we're in there changing stuff, we might as well be accurate.
So I made all those notes on my copy of the paper.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we going to change those? Are we going to vote on it as, with those changes?
We can
Or do you want to
vote,
Or do you want to hold
and
it
we-
to next time?
or we can come up, we can come back with any edits or changes, it's up to you.
I mean, with it being our next meeting not till January, and that will be half the school year over, I would be fine with voting with changes with edits, if that works for everyone else.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the student handbook for academic year 2022, 2023 with edits that were
Changing PTA to PI and making sure our suspension section is up to date based on the new law.
and lunch alternatives.
And lunch alternatives.
Priorities.
I'll second.
For the purposes of discussion, was there a discussion about putting the specific dates of conferences in here? It's very, very specific. My concern is that this handbook will have to be
I think it's changed every year.
changed, well, it'll have to be, right? And so do we want to be, I think it's interesting that we have some dates in there, but then report cards, we just have February and June, so sometime they'll come out. I understand conferences because people have to come into them, but if we're gonna put some dates, do we not wanna put all the dates? Or do we not wanna put dates at all and just put October and November and March and not have it be so specific?
We do have to vote on it every year.
Right, I was going to say, and plus staff is
changed
changing
every
too.
year.
So
Yeah,
I think having the dates in there would be okay because it's, specific to this year and it gives the parents those dates to
And
put on their
I
calendar.
think sometimes the report cards, that fluctuates when
That's
we have snow
flexibility.
days,
Mhm.
yeah.
Then the school committee isn't up to date either, because I have now been appointed.
Right, I think this was created like in September.
So
So it was
you're pretending?
It was prior
You're
to.
pretending it's back to, okay.
It was prior to when you got, yeah.
Okay, all right.
You weren't left out on purpose, I
No,
promise.
no, that's fine. I mean, if we're voting on it, we might as well make it as up to date as possible.
Right, oh, yes,
but-
absolutely, add you in, yes, yes, yes.
But,
So we have a motion and a discussion to be vote with the
And-
lunch pie suspensions.
Right, adding
and
Mackenzie.
School committee names. I have
Yes.
all of those.
Perfect. All, oh, I already made the motion.
yep,
And
we just have to vote.
And Eric seconded. Yep, all in favor, say aye.
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 Like,
All right, CES Capital Reserve Fund, discussion and vote. So it looks like we need to vote for CES to put $5 million in a separate account.
Yes, and then all of the member towns need to vote that in.
We had some information. Does anybody have any questions on it?
No.
Anybody like to make a motion to vote for this? I'll make a motion to allow the CES to put $5 million in a separate account.
Second.
And any further discussion?
where's the money come from?
It's all within their entity. So it's establishing a capital reserve account, so it's just kind of like separate from, it is their funds. And it just said that there's going to be no additional cost to any district, so our fee is not going to increase. It's just for them to allow them to be able to invest and,
Capital improvements and things like that.
absolutely. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Yeah, it's very similar to a regional school having an E&D account.
Yep. All right, pie report, Brittany.
So we are currently selling Erving apparel. It's 5 more days to order. Everybody wants it, and it'll be here for Christmas. The original verse is going home this week. I was supposed to get a package today, didn't come, but hopefully. What else? We are working on a staff, like, favorite things survey to make, like, teacher appreciation, things like that, a little bit more individualized and easier for us too. So that'll be going out this week also, and our next meeting is the first Monday in December.
Any questions for Brittany?
No, that's great. Can I add a new business or like mention something?
For this evening?
Yes, yeah. So last year, we brought up in one of our meetings that, well, we as a committee, staff and that were here commented, and then parents, that they don't love the professional development days before a long weekend. And at that point, when we were voting on the calendar, it was already too late because it had already been seen and talked to and everything else. So I wanted to bring it up nice and early this year to when we're looking at calendar for next year, FY23, FY24, that we're not having professional development days on the Friday before a long weekend. And some of the things that come from that are, you know, I'm pretty sure in the contract that like staff aren't supposed to be taking off the Friday before, and then we're expecting parents that might be in similar contracts or similar situations that are working that can't take off the Friday before. And it just felt like it was like too much and a lot of expectation being set on families to find care the Friday before a long weekend. And teachers were feeling like that wasn't a great choice either. I should remember their reasonings, but I know they were here at those meetings and voicing that as well. So just something to think about. I just wanted to bring it up so we're not waiting again for another
Thank you.
calendar meeting.
We
and
start
then-
to look at calendars in January, February.
Okay, and I was like, I don't know if November, but then we're not meeting till January, so I just wanted to put it out there.
So we will take that under advisement as we
Okay.
start to look at dates. Thank you so much for your
Perfect.
reminder, Caitlin.
Great.
I appreciate it.
All right, policy review and update. So we have second reading and first vote on nothing. We just have final vote on AC, ACAB, and JICK. So we have 3 of them that we have to put a final vote on.
I'll make a motion for a final vote on AC, ACAB, JICK.
Second it.
All right, is there any discussion about any of those? Any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, we made it. Next school committee meeting is going to be in Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 at 7 o'clock, and the policy committee at January 17th at 6:30, same day. And we are going to adjourn this meeting and go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and not to return into open session.
Are you inviting anyone in?
If you'd like to say, you are more than welcome to say. Yes.
Brian is out here. Thank you so much.
Can you talk to Tom Smith about that?
Yeah, okay. We're,
Okay, thank you.
well, we can roll call out and then you can give you a little basis, yeah. All right, so I'm going to make a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. I will second. Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
all right.
You can do it.
Second. All right, so we need to roll call out. I, Warren.
Hi, Shaggy.
I, Bailey.
My son?
I,